Alrighty. Man. Get this camera all hooked up just right. Bear with me here as I get this camera set up right. You know, you can set these cameras up ahead of time on the camera mount, thinking you got it with your actual, there we go, I kind of like that. Thinking you have the exact camera mount that you need in the right position when you're checking it out with your normal camera on your phone. And then you go to Facebook and you get it started, and you go to start the camera and you find out that the camera looks a little different the way they have it. So hello, Scott and Jeff and whoever else we got here tonight. Tonight we're going to be working a Seaport Model Works tugboat. Let's see. I did a little pre-work on it already to try and get it ready for tonight. This is what we will be working. It's a Seaport Model Works 53-foot harbor steam tug. And so this is I've done a few of the Seaport Model Works kits before. They're really, really awesome. I've tried several different other companies that make resin boats or different boats, even a wood boat, and they turned out fine. I've done Seaports, and I've had the best luck with Seaport Model Works. So, without further ado, well, this is the actual, here's another shot of that Seaport Model Works tugboat in the box, and then this is what their box looks like. This piece came off the top of the box. I took the stuff out of the box to show you tonight, and give you an idea of what we're dealing with. I took the liberty of taking the resin castings and cleaning them up. Oh, Jesus. And here we go. And so I got the resin castings and I primered them and cleaned them up. They had very little flash on them. You know, that stuff you got to pick off with a knife, or a sanding stick, or however you want to get it off clean like. And I'll talk to you about the castings in a moment here. These are some of the castings. I have some of the other ones in another box here. I'm just, like I said, I've just primered these up, and I used, for the primer on these, I used a tacos. Rust-Oleum camouflage. This is the khaki color. Gives it already a wood tone. This is primarily all a wood boat, and then the other castings are done in black, and they are this we got a steam pipe, and this is some small parts that go to the steam pipe, and then some tire pieces, and they're shiny now. I even use a flat black, believe it or not, but sometimes certain paints say they're flat and they end up having a bit of a sheen to them. Well, these do. It won't matter anyways. I will use a flat black paint on them to begin with, or actually not even real black. I use a combination of some other colors on tires. Some charcoal color and a mix of a of a soft black, and I mix it together. I get a nice tire, old, or an old tire look. So, hi, Ron, how you doing? Hello, Hardy, and I'm sure I probably missed a bunch of other people. Okay, so here's our castings. Now, like I said, I use a sanding stick like this, an emery board, and my X-Acto knife to clean them up. And once I got them cleaned up and I got the flash off of them for the most part, I then took this. By the way, this is the hull of the boat, and it's a flat bottom. Now, Seaport Model Works does make boats that have, or ships that have a, hello Scott, and hi Ed. They do make a full hull boat or ship on a lot of their models. If you are not using them for model railroading, that's fine. I personally, of course, if we're using them for model railroading, you want that flat hull, so when you sit it down on your water, you can build the water waves up around it, but you're sitting it down on top of your water, and you wouldn't want the full hull. But if you're putting in like a holder of some kind to sit on a shelf, the full hull is what you would be looking for. He handles both. That's Bruce Nickerson at Seaport Model Works. Like I said, I love their models. I've had good luck with them. I like them because they're very clean. They're cast very well, and several other reasons I'll get into as I show you the kit. So, anyways, I primered these. Doesn't really matter. I did it in that khaki color to give it like a wood color, but it really doesn't matter. Anyways, you want to just get something on it to make sure I could have done it in gray, and I could have done it in black or gray. You're gonna paint over it anyways, okay? Because you want to put, for most of it, you're gonna want to put a primer down so that your acrylic paints and such will get some teeth. It'll help make it stick. Okay, to get to that point before I primered it. Okay, so I cleaned it up, sanded it up, all these resin castings, and then I took them to the sink, and with a small hand scrub brush that I have, or toothbrush, like an old toothbrush, or a toothbrush you haven't used much, and or you never used, or one of those free giveaway toothbrushes that you really don't trust in your mouth. This is the one. This is one of those. You want, like, it's the one they give it a dental hygiene conference or something like that. Or you go to your dentist and I don't know. You can get free toothbrushes. This is Delta Dental. Okay, it's not a toothbrush I'd really want to use. I don't feel confident with it, so it became a brush to clean with. Take it to the sink. Put lukewarm water in the sink and some dishwashing liquid, and scrub it, because you want to get the on the outside of the resin castings. They will have a in these in particular, I know they do. They have, and it says so in the instructions. It's a release agent that they put on the outside of the castings or in the castings, so when they release them from the molds, you want to get that off, because that'll really hamper with your paint job. When you put the primer on, it won't go on straight, or it won't go on nice. Now you'll see there's some splotchy parts where the primer is. It doesn't interfere with the actual decking on this top of this boat. You can see the decking in there, but the reason there is some bare spots there is because as I took it outside to spray paint it, it started to drizzle with rain. So I'm doing it as fast as I can. I came back in, I noticed there's little raindrops on it. And before they could really dry, I kind of touched them with my finger and pushed it along to try and get them out of there before this was actually completely dry. It didn't hurt it in any way. It just, and I got, like I said, there were some on there too, and just ridiculous. And of course, it would start raining whenever I decided I was going to spray paint outside on the patio, rather than inside the house where I don't have a ventilator system where I can I don't have a paint booth, in other words. Okay, so you want to clean them up. You want to get that residue off of the release agent, and then you want to dry them off completely. And once they're dry, then you take them and you spray paint them with your primer, which we did. That was my beverage. Okay, which I'll sit over here. All right, now we so we have those. I showed you some of the resin castings, and there's also a bag full of metal castings, and I haven't opened them. I decided to keep them in there until I'm ready to use them, which will probably be near the end. But these are a lot of boat fittings, and you know, here's your bulwark. That's the big thing that would tie off your boat on. Okay, and then here's some and he's got a bunch of those kind of things in here. This is I don't know all the names of these, but I can tell you in a moment. But here's some of the boat parts. There's some lights and you know, some kind of flagpole, a mast. Here's a horn. You know, and then of course some tires that'll hang off the side. These are really nice, clean castings. Someday I'll ask Bruce where he gets these. Yes, Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA. It's my new favorite right now. Anyhow, so they're super nice castings, and there's a good deal of them in these packets. I'll name them off here shortly. Then I got another small bag, and it has some white thread that it instructs you to paint black. I'll also ask. I'm also going to ask Bruce next time I see him why he just doesn't put black thread in there. But hey, whatever. And then of course some wire and things like that are going to be used probably on the masts of the boat itself, of the tugboat. I'm not sure what the wood is for. So we'll leave all that sealed into plastic until the directions call for it. And then, of course, there is a brass plate. And this brass plate, I think, is for the bulkhead, the bulkhead cabin up front. And then, of course, some, looks like some brass ladders and window fittings. That'll also go in here. But that'll all have to be, you know, shaped and painted and everything else. So, like I said, we'll keep that until it calls for it. These kits are very, very nice. I love them for this particular reason. I'm going to show you in a second. These kits come with amazing directions, and there's a couple cool things about the directions. We talk about directions and such with, you know, structure kits, right? But how we talked about on the show too, about how important it is to have great directions for you know, hi Eddie Norton and Brad, and we got a couple others on here I missed. I'm sorry if I missed you. Anyhow, we talk about the instructions and how important they are to make or break a kit sometimes, and I feel that these Seaport models have amazing instructions on them. There's several cool things about them, and I'll show them to you in a moment here. But in particular, they have history. So not only does he give you a ship that he spent time researching on the actual construction of it and the making of it, the design, okay, he bases it off of real actual boats. And I've done some of the other ones I've done are the same way. And he talks about this kit and the company, but then he'll get into the actual history of that ship. Let me find that history page. And it's really cool because, you know, outside of building the model, I've never worked on the sea. I don't know what's in these things. I saw a little while ago. Maybe it's... Oh, here you go. This harbor tug is, you know, it talks all about the history of this harbor tug. and he gives you a little bit about that particular kit, where he talks about some of the details. And it's not a real long read. It's just a really cool read to give you an idea. I did a sardine, what do they call that boat that I did before of his? And it was a sardine boat of some type, and it was really, really cool. A sardine buyback boat, I think it was. And like I said, it was just a really really cool read, because he gave me a history on it, and then I could actually go online and look up actual photos of other boats, and it looked identical to what I was building. And that's one of the things I love. Bruce knows his history of these boats, so if you would contact him after you buy one of his kits and say, hey, can you tell me more about this, I'm sure he could fill your ear with that kind of thing. This is some good stuff. And he gets into the kit prep and things you need to do to get ready for your kit. And then he gives you a glossary of types of tools that you need to build it, the materials, the bill of materials, and then, of course, that you'll probably want to have close by, and the photos on the workbench in case you need some photos. He has, what's really cool on this is, let me see if I can find that page. It's a Nautical Glossary, and it tells you, because there's a whole different language. Here it is. It's a Nautical Glossary of terms for Seaport Model Works kits, but they're I don't know what a gallus frame is. I know I've heard of gunwales, and I've done some fishing and stuff, but I don't know what rubbing strakes are, and a Samson post, and he's got all of these different things on here, and a short description, which is really awesome. And it helps me identify these different parts when I get onto to the different when I get into my building of it. On top of that, he'll give me right here a whole, the etched brass parts, okay, or the not just the etched brass parts, but these are also the cast resin, the cast metal parts, and so you get a picture of all those things. They're identified by number, which is awesome as well, because through the directions, they're identified by number. The directions are very detailed. Then he gives you a part of pictures of all the resin parts that came with it, and the resin castings, the ones I just showed you a while ago. And then some photos of some photos he had from on the bench where he was starting construction, before and after, that kind of thing. So the details on these are really cool. The directions are really good. He tells you also, after the assembly, right here, I'm trying to work around my camera without bumping it here, folks. An identifier for the other strange parts that are in the bags and things like that are all here, and then you just start into the assembly itself. So by and large, it's a pretty very detailed set of instructions, but it's very well written as well. And so that's where we're at on this. And one of the things I'm going to start with tonight, of course, is going to be painting my decking. Okay, and really, I probably shouldn't, but I've never worked with this before, this brass fitting, because the other boats that I had didn't have these. So, yeah, actually, Scott, I do read them a little bit, because it's a boat, so it's a little trickier. You need to read these directions at some points. Because there's some drilling that has to happen, you'll need to use, and you can drill this resin stuff, of course, with a, here you go, Dan, I got the Sculpey puck working on the bench here tonight, every night now, but I use a very, very fine drill, in a pin vise, and I'll use that for a lot of my boat stuff. I mean, he has a lot of drills, drilling that you'll have to do to put some of these masts and parts and things in. So, and he tells you right where to do it. The directions are very thorough that way. But yeah, Dan, the instructions are pretty important for this one. So, and he tells you the exact, the exact size drill to use. It really is a big help. Anyhow, so we're going to get started here a little bit. Now, one of the things that I'll do tonight is work on this this decking, and of course the hull, because all your work's being done on the hull. Now, they recommend that you do the painting of everything on the hull and stuff last, after it's all assembled. I don't agree with that personally, because there's going to be some sections, nooks and crannies down along the bottom and such, where I'm not going to be able to get my paintbrush in on a steady, in a steady way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find some paints and get to cranking on my deck. Now, for this, I'm going to do like I did my last deck on a wood deck on a boat, and that was with some AK weathered wood, old and weathered wood paint. So we'll do that here live. Let me get some kind of palette that has several different bins in I can draw from, and pull some of these. Brett's supposed to be on here soon monitoring. Now, this has gotten to the point where it's the only, these are the only paints that this is the only thing I use these paints for. The AK Interactive Old and Weathered Wood, I'm not a real big fan of, but I do like it for doing my, doing the planking and such on a Seaport Model Works boat, or any type of boat that I have. I've had good luck with this stuff. So let me dig it all out. These are all bottles from the Old and Weathered Wood, and I'll put a couple of them on. I just need to pull them out and look at them here. And I'm not a big fan of these paints. On most other applications, I don't touch them. I guarantee I won't buy them again. But it's so what I like to start with is it's called wood base, and it's not too far removed from what's down there now, which is just basically the rattle can paint. Yeah, shook it up pretty good here. I'll pour it into one of my, this is a pretty good size area of, so we'll just squirt some of that out. Oh, it's clogged up too, huh? Squirt some of that out. Well, maybe it's been so long since I used this stuff. Oh my God, how embarrassing. All right. It's just clogged. There we go. Always good to have a straight needle or a pin close by in case your paints get clogged up. So I got my wood base, and as you can see, it's almost like the same khaki color. And then we're going to take a brush that's not real thick or not real big. I don't want to go overly big on this. Too fat a brush, and I don't want to go too thin either, or too small or pointy a brush, because it's going to and we want to dry brush it. So I'm going to take this piece of paper towel, we'll take some of this paint out, and then we're just going to dry brush over. It's a little lighter, and it's just going to give it a wood base color. There you go. Now, you can use these for, I guess if you have an airbrush and you're big into airbrushing, I'm not. These old and weathered wood sets are probably awesome for you by AK. Personally, I'm not, like I said, I'm not, outside of this, I'm not a big fan. I do think this works really, really nice on my hull or on the planking of a boat. Just kind of giving it a coating. And I'm starting with the bottom of the boat first because basically you want to start from the bottom up, and you know, because these sides are going to be painted an entirely different color with the stakes that hold the, you know, the hull together. They'll all be different colors, and if I start with them, then I'm gonna have to retouch them up. So this way, I'm starting at the bottom, working up, just like you would like if you paint a figure. If I paint a figure of you know, one of the HS scale figures of people, obviously, it's just, I always start with the flesh, and then work up through the clothing that's layered on their bodies the way they're cast. So, you know, and then you work to the top to where you get to the finals, their hat and their shoes. Same deal here. You want to work from where you see the bottom being the most difficult reachable to what's now on the outside edges when you get to the end. That's where you want inside out. Inside out or top, or, you know, bottom to top. Nothing worse than trying to reach with a paintbrush in the areas that you've already painted, or around the areas you've already painted, and then have to go back and touch all that crap up again. That is my father, Charles. He must be watching. I'm sure I won't hold his interest for very long, and he'll be off watching a Netflix movie. But as you can see, we're getting some different wood tones in, and I'm kind of doing it in streaks randomly here and there, and that's fine, because at the end we're going to have different tones in our wood. And I know I just went over it, but now as I'm going over with like another coat, you'll see that I'm getting some streaking in my wood. It's going to be, you know, random. We want that random. And I'm starting light because this is our, like I said, this is our base wood, the base color coat of that wood. Okay. So, got that that first layer of coloring down. We may get back to it. Let me wash out my brush. And I'm a big paper towel man. I love paper towels. I always go buy like the bulk pack of the cheap paper towels at like Aldi or something like that. And and I want to thank you, Jeff Grove, for the Carolina Craftsman cups, so I can sip beer out of, or whatever I'm drinking that night. Those are nice if you're here watching. Streaking wood, how about that, Brett? Hey, there's Brett. Okay, so we got our, now you can see, if I pull it up close, you can see some of the tones in this wood, and you'll see that you're getting different shades out of it. Well, we're going to go a little further with that, and we're going to do, where is it? Now that's the light tone. And normally you want to do the dark and then do the light over the top of it and draw some of the, put some more light back into it once it's too dark. That is the wood base is the only one I'm putting down as a light to start out. Now we're going to go with some, not varnished, that's last. Okay, so here is a medium brown. That's AK medium brown. Shake it up real good. And you really got to shake these things. AK is stuff you got to really shake. The reason I don't like to use too much of the AK stuff on other products that I do for model railroading or other painting projects is because this stuff tends to leave a bit of a sheen to it. It doesn't dry flat. It's not a flat paint, and it has a tendency to leave a shiny sheen to it. Okay, so now I'm just kind of randomly drawing some of this down through. And I'm dry brushing this, by the way. This is a dry brush. But we're taking, I'm not going to totally coat and cover every bit of the last shade that I did. Take some of the wood out, or the paint out, and just kind of draw it down. Same deal. Like I said, and with some of the other AK, these paints with regular like model railroading stuff, especially on like wood and stuff, it gives it a shine, and I don't like that part. And that's probably why I avoid using it for this. I think if you use it on like a vehicle or something like that, it's definitely going to be really kind of cool. But if you're using, there's probably nothing better on real wood than using just paint on real wood. I mean, use your acrylics, your other acrylics like craft paints on real wood. And if you're just trying to simulate wood, which is what this paint does, well, then you just kind of want to, see, that's a little dark here. But if you're just trying to simulate wood, what's happening to the paint? Why is that attacking the paint? Something is attacking the paint underneath. Alright, no problem. What we'll do is we'll just put that on thick. Huh, don't really like that. I like the paint. I like what it's doing with the rest of it, with the rest of the base. I don't like what it did up here, and something is attacking the paint and chipping it out. I don't know what that is. Okay, well, so what we will do is, bear with me just a second. Take a garbage brush. I just took some of my spray paint and took a garbage brush that I don't use for anything, and I was probably going to hit the trash can with it. And I sprayed some on the paper towel off the rattle can, and I'm going to fill in that spot. Because I don't have any varnish, I don't have any lacquer-based paints that would do that, so there we go. And we'll just let that dry. I did the release agent. I spent some time scrubbing the release agent off. For those of you who weren't here earlier, well, it didn't come early when I first started. I did talk about the release agent, and I did a release agent on this. I mean, I didn't. I cleaned the release agent off, scrubbed it in the sink, the whole works. So I'm gonna try this. There we go. We'll just let that dry a little bit. Like I said, we'll draw that. That's not good. All right. Not the end of the world. I think we got it. So we'll just let that dry on that part. We'll leave that. I'll let that go for a little while. This stuff dries quick too. This Rust-Oleum camo paint, I just sprayed that indoors. Don't do that. Don't spray your paints indoors like I just did. All right, so, but as you can see, we're drawing out some of the tones, and just and we've talked about this before. It's all in layers. Right now, it looks like Jason would have got out his hair dryer, which I don't have mine hooked. I have it here, but I don't have it hooked up. And he would have hair dried that baby, and he would have waved the magic wand, and that shit would have just been perfect. That's how Jason would have done it. All right, so let's wash that brush out. Now, some of this is going to actually be covered in with the bulkhead and some of the the cabin, and some of the things that'll be on the boat itself will be covering this planking. But it's better for me. I find it better to get the planking done early and then sit everything up on top of it rather than trying to do this painting the planking once all that stuff's down is a mess. Okay, so we did medium brown, and now I want to get a different shade in there. This is called light gray brown. Oh, wow, look at all the junk on that. Okay. And we'll show you that in a moment here. There's a light gray brown, looks like this. And it's going to give us yet another kind of shading to it. And what will happen is, as I'm doing this, it starts to blend these colors together. You'll start seeing them actual blend, but you'll see hints of the previous color under them. I want this to look like real wood planking, so I want it to have different various shades in. I think that dried up there, so that's good. If you wonder why I stopped with the brush, it's because I'm stopping to read some of your comments. And here we gotta get that in here. I'm gonna avoid that upper part a little bit where I spray painted, just to try and let that set a little bit. I can always come back with these shades over that. But now you can see that it's starting to blend in. It's really strong there. We gotta get rid of that. We want to give it that color, that streaking look like you see in wood grains, and it's not there yet. And like I said, you can't, it's kind of hard to, mess this stuff up. I mean, it really is. I mean, we talked about that before. I mean, you can, but, you know, by and large, you're always able to go back over things with your paints. Now, you don't want to get too many different, I don't want to get too many do-overs on this wood, on the planking, because then what will happen then, though, is, see how that sheen is? See that shine? And that's fine, because it's going to be a varnished deck top, you know? But I don't want to see that sheen. You don't see that sheen in the flat primer paint, right? But you see it here. See, now you can catch it. And this is precisely why I don't like using these AK acrylics on a lot of model railroad products, because I mean, yes, I could dull coat them, but yeah, that's, to me, that just I don't, if I was a, I don't know, I just don't like to have the sheen and the shine. But on something, I guess I don't mind, because the boat's going to have, you know, a shine, a varnished deck. I'm reading here. The grooves in between are sealed with oakum material. Oh, well, how about that? That's very interesting. Thanks, Ron. Okay, so I got those three different shades on there, kind of like, and we kind of dulled that down. And I am going to get darker here. Ron mentioned getting darker. I will be getting darker. However, I gotta find the cap. There's the cap. Now, where's it at? Not that one. Middle gray, no grays. The light gray. No freshly cut timber. Alright. So, now we got our wood grain. And wood grain's got a little bit of a reddish tint to it. So we'll be sparing on this a little bit. Let's put this over here on this side. And we don't want to go overboard with this, but it's a reddish brown color. And we're talking really dark now, right? So you can see how dark it really is. And I just want to put smaller streaks. That's a little overboard. There we go. Like I said, if I go a little too heavy, I went a little too heavy there, so I'll just draw it. I'll just draw it out. See, no harm, no foul. Get back in there with my dart, and we'll just kind of, I'm going to change up brush. not go with something that's thick. I'm going to go something a little different. There we go. I'm going to go with this fan brush. I don't know if you've ever tried or used a fan brush. However, it's going to leave lines as you go down. So what it's going to do is a little bit, you want to make sure you go straight down. And it's going to start filling in some of those lines with a darker tone, as Ron was mentioning earlier. I just didn't get that far. And don't worry if you get it on the side of your hull, on the inside of your hull, because we're going to be painting that anyways by hand once we get to that point. If the phone is moving, if the camera's moving, it's because I was checking and reading your comments. Okay, so the fan brush gives me little streaks and such down through the wood. Makes it's tougher to get in on this side over here, so we'll get to that last. But as you can see, it's starting to draw in different tones on the wood. One of the models I built previously, you can see it on Seaport Model Works website in their gallery. There's a bunch of photos of it. It's the sardine carrier, and they posted it up there in their gallery. And I feel it was really nice of them to do that. But you'll see the actual decking that I did on that, and it was done in much the same manner as this is. And I'm just going to get down along this side. Just getting the tips of this fan brush and then working off this corner. There we go. Oop. I keep bumping it because the way I had to put this camera fits right in the middle of my viewing area, and my back of my paintbrush keeps touching it. So, all right. Okay. And you can see we're starting to get some actual wood tones in it. We just keep layering and layering different wood tone colors until we get what we're actually looking to do. Now, it's a tugboat. It's a working boat. Okay, so it is going to be a wood floor, but it isn't a yacht. It's not like it's not a catamaran, right? We're not doing the giant sailboat race with the perfectly varnished floor. This thing's going to see some action. All right, let's put it down. Wash that fan brush out. Now, so we did that one, and I want to go with something a little dark. And this is called weathered wood. And is it tedious and long, this process, for just a simple little haul? Yeah. Okay, now this is bizarre. This is going to give it the weathering, a little bit of the weathering darkness. It's and this is really kind of dark, almost like a raw umber. And it's going to bring out your very dark tones. This will be as dark as we get too on this. And where I'm going to take this, the darkest part, is in where I feel their heavily foot traffic area on the boat would be, which would be down along your sides, the gunwales. Okay, because we're gonna have our cabin and the masthead, not the masthead, the cabin and the bulkhead, all that stuff's gonna be more towards the center of the boat. So we want the sides to have some darkness. We're running out of paint. I should have put some more in there. So we want my sides to have a little bit of the darker area where the foot traffic's going to be. Now see how we're getting all these different tones in there? Let me put a little more of that wood in there. A little more of that, paint in there. Where the hell did I put it now? I hate when I do that. There it is, weathered wood. Okay. I just put it away, and it already started clogging up on me. Okay. Let's do down the other side of this real quick. And then we're going to move on. And I'm just dirtying up our side areas. I'm not really too, like I said, I will touch the middle area a little bit, but I'm not going to overly do that. It won't see as much. It'll either be covered or it won't see as much traffic at all. The tops. Now we'll do the middle. I just wanted to make it look like, hey, this is the size. This is where all the weathering is going to be. All your foot traffic, and the guys working, they'll be walking back and forth through there. And although we are going to varnish it here at the end, we're not technically varnishing it. We're using a wood color called varnish. And there we go. So now we're getting into our shades a little bit. It is a lot of sheen. Like I said, you're right, Daniel. There's a lot of sheen. And that's what this AK stuff does, man. It just really gives off a hell of a sheen on it. And, but like I said, once the rest of the boat is flat, that sheen on the decking will look cool. Okay, and the rest of the boat and everything else is going to be painted is going to have a flat coat to it, and that sheen will it'll actually contrast in a good way. Just trust me on that one. Okay, so I'm liking how that's going so far. We're going to touch up a little bit with the varnished wood, and that will lighten it out just a little bit. What a mess. It's very quiet here. And it's going to take some of our, it's going to tone down and blend some of that really dark tone stuff that we have as it dries. But it's still going to leave your streaks in. You'll still be able to see the other color layers below it. Actually, you can't, because in a way, and you don't want to. I mean, you want to be able to, they're there. But this is just another example of, this is what we get when we weather. When we layer. We want that. There we go. I mean, it does sheen. Now, like I said, it sheens off this camera as well. If I lay it flat down and I don't have, and I'm looking at it with my human eye, it's not quite as shiny. And when I take actual photos of it for you later here and post them online, it probably won't as well. But what we can do I'm going to take an experiment. We're going to try an experiment tonight, right here, to see if I can remove some of that shine with dull coat from my brush. Okay. And let me move the palette. I'm liking right now the shade of the decking. I really don't want to change any of that right now. Okay. I really don't want to add any more coloring. I love the tones that I got in my wood. And I'm gonna see if I have a matte. It's actually not a dull coat. It is made by AK. It's called Matte Varnish, and it'll take some of that sheen out. I'm not going to spray it though. We're going to just paint it on like we did with everything else. And we're just going to put a light coat over top of it, and it should dry clear and kind of a varnish effect. That's why I did the final varnish. Okay, so we're going to use the matte varnish. And I will continue with this fan brush because I like it, because it'll take it. I want to take some of that off. I just want a thin coat. And we'll let that dry, and it should take some of that sheen out. And we'll hit this. Well, we're gonna, like I said, since this is an experiment with taking the sheen out, which I've never tried to do that before, we'll hit it with a hairdryer, see how it does. While I got you on because that way everybody can see while they're here and we're live. Let's see if it takes any of that sheen off of it. Or if it adds it to it. All right, let's see. I'm gonna get my hair dryer. Plug her in. Now, I don't have my hairbrush. My hair dryer is not. It's not like Brett's hair dryer, where it's got flowers on it. I don't have the flowers on my hair dryer, but I do have a purple hair dryer. It's not pink, but I got a purple one. I just blew away some cardboard boxes that I had built for a diorama. 8-inch scale. And like I said, I don't know. I mean, this may take a second coat of this stuff to get the sheen out. It's not as shiny. It's there, but it's not as shiny. It does have a little bit of a gloss to it. But like I said, it's not completely out of it. I'm okay with that because I wanted to have a varnish look anyway. So if you go like this, and like I said, my eye light is one hand span away from that. So we're really shining a lot of bright light onto it. So that's going to make it shine as well. But I kind of like it. I'm really happy with my final on that. And like I said, it's with everything else that's going to be on there. Now I got a piece of white fuzz on there. But with everything else that's going to be on this boat being flat for a tugboat, I'm really happy with that as the final wood grain on it. So I think it turned out pretty good myself, and so that's what I did. I mean, and I could have done this with other various brown paints in flat, craft paints. I mean, it didn't have to be AK paints. I just want to use these damn things up and get rid of them because I won't be buying another set of them. Like I said, outside of a boat deck, there's really I don't find a practical purpose in model railroading for this. I love AK products and I have a lot of them and I use them a lot on my weathering and things like that. But these acrylic paints that they make for old and weathered wood, I am not a fan of. I bought them and I have them, and then once they're gone, I won't be getting another set. But like I said, I do like what I got out of that, and we've gone about an hour, and I'm gonna go spend some time with the wife. But we did a boat deck for tonight, and I will be on again, and we'll do some more stuff with this boat. I wanted to just kind of show you what's all involved with one of the kits from Seaport Model Works. So I hope you all have a good evening, and peace out. Thanks for joining me, and look forward to sharing stuff with you guys in the future. Have a good night.